Welcome into the AHSAA Weekly, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. Your inside look at everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holder. Coming up on this week's program, we'll visit with AHSAA Assistant Director Jeff Seegers to talk high school wrestling. Also, Ron Ingram from the Alabama High School Athletic Association sits down with the head boys basketball coach at Otagoville High School, Coach Darren Golson. We'll also have Luke Robinson, the head coach of the track and field program at Scottsboro High School. And of course, we've got highlights coming from David Holtzford. All of that and more on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union.
Every bank has their own app, but it's just that, theirs. At AmFirst, our app was made for you, so you can personalize your dashboard, pay your bills, and redeem points for rewards you'll love. Get the app made for you at AmFirst.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. We're going to take you now for an interview with Jeff Seegers. He is an assistant director with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Jeff, so glad to have you with us once again here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Great to be with y'all tonight.
You have been with the Alabama High School Athletic Association for about 6 months. When we first talked with you, you had just come on board with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. That was about 6 months ago. Time flies, I guess, when we're having fun out there. Just tell us about that transition coming from a high school coach and athletic director to now being on staff with the AHSAA.
Yeah, and the best thing about being on staff with the High School Athletics Association is all I ever knew was Vestavia, and now I've been able to go all over the state. I got to go see Fife play football this year. If people in the state of Alabama have not gone to a Fife football game, you need to take a Friday night and go. It's a special event, and being able to go out and see kids from other high schools and other sports, such as just football and wrestling, compete has been really special. It really has.
The duties that you had in the fall included football and girls flag football. Now we're in the winter months and the winter sports, and you will be managing wrestling. And wrestling is certainly not a sport that's any stranger to you. You've coached wrestling. You were a wrestler. Just tell us about now managing the sport of wrestling for the AHSAA.
Yeah, and I also have indoor track. I do not want to slight my indoor track people because they are great people. Wrestling is near and dear to my heart. When I was a freshman at Vestavia Hills High School, Peter Brash, who did freshman athletics, looked at our freshman athletics class and said, "We don't specialize in sports here. Find something else to do." And being about a 5'9" slow offensive lineman, I knew it wasn't basketball, and so I started wrestling as a freshman and ended up being a state champ and was lucky enough to get hired back and got to work for Steve Gaydosh. Wrestlers are some of the toughest people in the world. A friend of mine was hiring people to help in his moving company. He always loves to hire wrestlers. They are passionate and they are tough, and it's a great community to be a part of. It's a great sport that teaches you lots about yourself.
While you were at Vestavia Hills coaching, you had a chance to coach your son in the sport of wrestling. That had to be special. Tell us about that.
It did. It was. It's those times you don't ever get back, and it somewhere around his sophomore year, I had to come in and tell T. Adams and Chad Merrill, I got to be dad, and you've got to be coach, and it's a balancing act. And my wife would probably tell you sometimes that it wasn't great, but it was, and I think both of us, my son and I both would tell you that I wouldn't change it for the world. It was just really because he was a varsity athlete for 5 years, 5 special years that I miss every day.
Finally, as we kind of bear down on our time here together, let's talk about wrestling. You've got the Wrestling State Tournament, which is coming up in February, but coming up this week is the Wrestling Duels Tournament. For the uninitiated out there, kind of explain what those two tournaments are, maybe what the difference is in the duels and the state tournament.
So wrestling is really seen as an individual sport, and to really emphasize that team aspect. what the wrestling community has done in our state and many other states have done has created a dual tournament. And so what that does is your team goes and wrestles another team. Tomorrow night, a lot of our 7A schools will start wrestling in the quarterfinals. I know the Vestavia is wrestling Huntsville. Hewitt's wrestling Bob Jones. Thompson is wrestling Enterprise, Smith Station, and Baker. And then Thursday and Friday night, 1A through 4A and 5A, 6A wrestle. And what's great about that is it's this high school versus this high school, and the winner moves on. And really, while the everyday high school athletic fan doesn't necessarily understand a wrestling tournament, they know if Smith Station's wrestling Baker and Smith Station scores more, then they win. And it is a great event. I would ask people to go out and support these wrestlers. Friday the 21st will be our finals, the 7A finals at 12, the 5 and 6A finals at 2:30, and then the 1 through 4A finals at 5 o'clock. We put them out on the stage there at the Crossplex in Birmingham, and just I would ask for people to come out and just give this event a chance. These kids work hard, and it's a great event.
Really great information, Mr. Seegers. We thank you for being with us. Thank you for the great job you've done so far with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We'll look forward to catching up with you later on in the school year as we move through the winter and the spring sports.
Absolutely. Great to see y'all, and appreciate everything that you do for high school athletics.
Jeff Seegers, Assistant Director for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, is our guest here as the AHSAA Weekly continues.
Looking for a perfect checking account? Don't waste your time. No minimum balance, no monthly fees, and a convenient app. Now you could try and find that at a bank, or you could save yourself the trouble by checking with us.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. Earlier this week, Director of Communication for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Ron Ingram, had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Otagoville Eagles boys basketball team. Here's Ron Ingram and Darren Golson.
Coach Golson, we want to welcome you to AHSAA TV Weekly. This is our first show of 2022. We really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
First, I want to congratulate you on last year's perfect season, 30-0, the first one since 2011-12 when Barber County went undefeated, and you're just the third team in this century to go undefeated in boys basketball. So that puts that a little bit more in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. You get lucky every now and then.
Of course, so that was last year, right?
That was last year.
Tell us a little bit about this year. What I want to talk with you about, coaches, you did have your streak broken at 35 games, which is an incredible streak. But now you started a 9-game winning streak. I believe you're on a 9-game winning streak, and you're 14-2. Tell us a little bit about this year's team and how you've had to, persevere this season with everybody looking at you as a defending state champion.
Well, this year we're playing totally different than the way we played last year. I'm mostly guard oriented. Had one of my big guys. He was out for a while. He didn't play with us during the tournament over there. But he's since come back, and we're trying to get him back into shape. He's going to help us on the inside, but mostly guard oriented. We shoot the ball a lot more than we did last year. I've allowed them to shoot the ball more. Last year we tried to work it on the inside. It was inside out. Mostly right now we're outside in. But my guards, they understand we're trying to drive the ball first and get the other team in foul trouble so we can get on the foul line.
Now, last year, Coach, when y'all played in your state finals, that was a pretty unusual game in that the final score was 38-35. But you did not give up a point to your opponent, Belgreen, in the fourth quarter. And obviously, I'm looking at this year's totals. You're only giving up 40 points a game this season. So Otagoville defense comes first, doesn't it?
That's what we work on every day, and that's what we preach every day. And the slogan goes in: defense wins championship, and proven that last year. even because we're a very good shooting team last year, so we had to rely on our defense. So I told them that's what we had to work on, and that's what we did. And we run several different defenses. It's classified as a 3-2, but it's kind of helter-skelter, and we play it differently. And a lot of times when I hear the other coaches trying to figure out what we're playing, they'll say, well, they're in a 2-1-2, they're in a 3-2, they're in a box of one. It's really just a 3-2, but we have every person being able to play every position on the court at any given point in time. And I gave it a name, and I kind of call it flow.
Flow?
Flow. That's what
it seems to flow up. It seems to flow your way, doesn't it?
It does. So,
I look back at your schedule this year, and you're 7-1 against teams 2A through 7A. You've beaten a 7A school, you've beaten a 5A school, more than one 5A school. You've beaten a team that was the state champion in 2A 2 years ago, and was in the Final Four last year. Your schedule is really upbeat, and you lost 2 games back to back. I guess it was a tournament in Montgomery. Is that right?
That's correct.
But since then, you've not been beaten, and you've not been beaten in 2022.
Yeah, we've gotten some things corrected. We had some administrative problems over at the tournament, so we had to set an example of how we want to run things, at a Tarverville. And we had my point guard was hurt the second game, and we had to get through that. I didn't have my big number 5 guy that plays inside. He wasn't there. But
of course, last year you had a big man inside that was MVP of the state championships, and he's graduated.
Right.
But not many folks have guards that are 6'5" and 6'4" in Class 1A, do they?
And they're quick and long. Yes, sir. Not many.
And whenever, and I guess we're talking about 2 of the guys we're talking about are Antonio Hardy and Jaden Nixon. Those 2 players could play at any level, couldn't they?
They can play at any level. They're quick, they're long, they shoot the ball fairly well. Jaden Nixon, he can play inside, he can play outside, he drives the ball very well. He's a very savvy point guard. He's classified one of our point guards. He's our second point guard.
Tell us a little bit about the excitement that's carried over from last year's run, and what it means. Like when you have a home game, when you go on the road, is Tarverville fans go to watch you play, don't they?
Oh, well, the fans have been there for a while. Last year they were astronomical. This year they're still watching it, watching us real well. The boys, they're just even keel. They really don't let anything rattle them. Whether they don't get too high, they don't get too low. They just go out and play. They know how to play the game now. They know how to win, and that's what we've been stressing for the last 3 years. And it makes my job easy. Don't
you think that even keel was the difference in winning and losing last year in the state finals? Because they never panicked. Never seemed to panic.
No.
Reminds me of.
Go ahead.
It kind of reminds me of watching some of the old J.F. Shields basketball teams. That could be down by 20 or up by 20, but they played the same. They played the same even keel. And I asked Mr. Tony Stallworth, who worked in our office and was a Shields graduate, how that happened. And he says, well, the game's not over till it's over, so you hadn't won it yet and you hadn't lost it yet.
Right. Because, if you remember the game, we didn't lead the game until sometime in the fourth quarter. I knew they were great shooters. I wanted to hold the ball earlier because we usually try to hold the ball to get a break, but we never could get the lead. So in the fourth quarter, we were behind, 5 or 6 points, something like that. And about 7 points. The only instruction I gave them, fellas, we're behind. We got to let some of the shots go. I gave them authorization to shoot the ball. I said, I need all 5 guys rebounding the ball, and we'll let the referees sort out the fouls. That was the only fourth quarter instruction we gave them. That's what they did. It went to work.
That's kind of what you tell them in every game, too, isn't it?
And have fun.
Well, Coach, I know this is a fun time for Tarverville because y'all have an extremely talented bunch of kids. You're always good. There's no doubt about it. When a team plays at Tarverville, they know they've got their hands full, particularly in basketball. But what do you see for the rest of this season for this bunch? Are they getting that kind of demeanor that could give another state championship run?
Well, just like the other night, we played a team. Montgomery Catholic. And like I said, a lot of times I don't really have to coach. My point guard, Jermaine Sanders, he kind of knows what I want. He knows when we get ahead, if we feel like the team is a little tired, he'll pull it out. We'll go into our stall play for a while. And sometimes if we're not just stalling just to hold the ball for time, we'll stall just to make layups. So they kind of know exactly what I want. As January goes along, it gets closer and closer to the area tournament and the regional tournaments. They may start understanding that hey, we still can make a run. But in their mind, they're going back. I'm the one that's worried about it all the time.
Because you're just worried about the next game too, right now, aren't you?
I'm worried about the next game. That's it.
Last year we were worried about getting to play the next game because we just never knew what was coming down. And then this year, there's that threat still could loom over us too if things don't change. But to see y'all do what you did in last year's state tournament, and with all the other things around the game that could have hindered you, you have to really admire what your kids did by staying healthy, staying away from crowds, and I guess y'all are still having those same health and safety practices, aren't you?
We talk about it every day. We just talked about it for the last 2 days in a row because we're having some problems in school now with people catching the virus. And I tell my guys, make sure you put on your mask in class. Try not to go out big crowds everywhere. We're talking to them every day, and I see them with the mask on in the classrooms every day. During the games, we have a mask on. A lot of times we don't bump fists or shake hands with the other team when the game is over. And sometimes the coaches don't understand, but I tell them we're trying to stay free from COVID. We just show our hands and we just go straight to the locker room. We try not to get involved with the crowd.
Well, I think those are great practices. It certainly worked last year, and anything that we can do to keep our schools can do to keep themselves healthy and free of the virus or whatever you want to call it. There's already enough flu bugs and all that float around that we've had to be conscious of that in every basketball season. Now we just pray, we just hope and pray y'all can go on and have a great finish the next month and a half, and we'll see you hopefully back in Birmingham in late February.
It would be nice.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. I appreciate you.
So thank you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Every bank has their own app, but it's just that, theirs. At AmFirst, our app was made for you, so you can personalize your dashboard, pay your bills, and redeem points for rewards you'll love. Get the app made for you at AmFirst.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union, and we're going to talk about indoor track and field. And when you start talking about track and field, no high school in the state of Alabama has had more success through the years than the Scottsboro Wildcats up in Jackson County in Northeast Alabama. The head track coach of that program is Luke Robinson. Coach Robinson, thank you so much for joining us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Well, thanks for having me.
Coach, I'm going to read some of this here because I don't have this memorized, but your team has overall in history, Scottsboro, 8 indoor track titles, 6 outdoor track titles, 15 cross-country titles. That's 29 boys championships. Then on the girls' side, 4 indoor track crowns, 3 outdoor track titles, 23 cross-country state titles, a total of 30 AHSAA girls championships, 59 combined championships in boys and girls. People know why I had to read that off there because that is incredible. Just tell us about the success through the years of Scottsboro's track and field program.
That success started with my head coach when I was in high school, actually, John Esslinger. And he kind of started the culture and won a vast majority of those state championships. So the winning culture and that winning expectation has been in Scottsboro since well before I ever showed up. So I'm just really thankful to be a part of it.
Obviously, he had a big impact on that program, but he also had a big impact on you, I would think, as a coach. Tell us about that.
Yes, sir. Ever since I got this job 6 years ago, he's always been somebody that I contacted, once every week there for a little while. And then at least once a month, I'm getting in contact with John Esslinger and asking him questions and picking his brain. And just, he's one of the greatest. So why would I not utilize that resource that I have right here in town? So his value to our program, both starting it up to where it is, and even currently to keep it going it's just invaluable.
Speaking of keep it going, you were a part as a player, as an athlete, of some of those state championships that we just mentioned there at Scottsboro. Tell us about being a player and now being a coach, and as you said, keeping that strong tradition of Scottsboro Wildcat track and field going.
I don't know. It feels like maybe it makes it mean more a little bit, just because this is the program that I was also involved in, and just knowing its roots and knowing the history of it and the success and what the expectations are whenever I walked into the door. So I don't know, maybe it feels a little closer to home, I guess, since it is the program that I grew up also competing in as well.
Your team this year, once again, no surprise, has been red hot in indoor track and field. You've already set a couple of state records, the 4x800 relay team, I believe. Pole vaulting, you've got a state record holder there. Tell us about this year's squad.
That couple of boys squads that you're speaking of right now, they're just a fun group of kids to coach. You know, Maddox is one of those athletes that he's going to break. He's not even close to done. He's only a junior. He's already kind of in that national look. He's going to break a lot more records throughout the rest of this season. There's no telling what he's going to do when outdoor gets here, and there's no telling what he's going to do his senior year. So I think he's just now scratching the surface. The 4x8 squad, and even the other distance runners as well. It's just watching those boys work every single day is just fun to watch. I feel like as a coach, I almost have it easy. They work their butt off day in, day out. They want nothing more than to be better. They do all the little things right, which every coach knows that's kind of the big deal. All the stuff that outside of practice and making sure they're doing all the small things right is really the reason why they are as successful as they are right now.
Indoor track seems to be growing in the state of Alabama. One of the reasons for that, it seems, is that we've got a great facility in Birmingham at the Birmingham Crossplex. Tell us about that and the impact that's had on indoor track and field here in the state.
You know, I competed at Auburn University in track and field, and even some of the indoor complexes that we got to go to during those meets. You know, Birmingham, just the Crossplex is just better than anything I've ever seen in the other indoor events that I've gone to. It's great for spectators. There's plenty of space everywhere. They do a great job of keeping all the equipment is up to date, and it's as good as you can get. Everything's top of the line. The surface is great. The kids love it. All the people that work there do an excellent job of making sure the meet goes smooth, even if there's a whole lot of athletes. And we are blessed in the state of Alabama to have a place like the Crossplex that we can go to every weekend during this season.
Coach, we're blessed to have you as a coach in the state of Alabama. No doubt the Scottsboro track and field program is one of the top track and field programs in the country, I think in the nation. Thank you for spending time here to talk about indoor track and field and talk about your program at Scottsboro High School. Congratulations on some of the state records so far, and best wishes to you and your team the rest of the season.
Thank you a whole lot. I appreciate it.
Luke Robinson, he's the head coach of the Scottsboro Wildcats track and field team, joining us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Looking for a perfect checking account? Don't waste your time. No minimum balance, no monthly fees, and a convenient app. Now you could try and find that at a bank, or you could save yourself the trouble by checking with us.
And we are back on the AHSAA Weekly. It is time now for David Holtzford's highlights. David Holtzford of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, gathering highlights from all across the state of Alabama, courtesy of the NFHS Network, to bring you these video highlights each week. We're going to begin with bowling and something that happened just today. It was a great game of bowling. They had a big Vestavia Bowl in Vestavia. This is Hewitt-Trussville, and Hewitt-Trussville's Tristan Atwood did something that had only been done one time previously in the history of bowling in the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and that is bowling a perfect 300 game for the Huskies. You're going to see it right here. There's the final pin. That means he knocked every pin down throughout the entire match. He did not miss one. You see the drama building. This was the last bowl. To get that 300 game, he had to knock every one of those down, and he did it. Now we go to basketball action, starting in Mobile. Top-ranked Class 7A Baker takes on Davidson in a Class 7A Region 1 battle. The Hornets start fast with LeBaron Philon breaking away on a layup as Baker jumped out to an early 16-3 lead. Jaden Campbell knocks down the three. And in the second quarter, Baker's Javen Williams grabs a rebound and takes the ball coast to coast for a layup. Williams finished with 20 points. Philon would lead all scorers with 26 as Baker cruised to a 68-53 win and improved to 20-3 overall. Now we head across town to UMS Wright and pick up the action with the Lady Bulldogs taking on city rival St. Paul's Episcopal in Class 5A Region 2. Dorsey Parker led UMS Wright with 21 points. Elizabeth Meter chipping in 14 as UMS Wright improved to 16-5 with a 60-45 win. Ella Vallis led the Saints with 17 points. And the UMS Wright boys followed the girls with a 43-36 win over the Saints. Arthur Chitty scored a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds to lead the Bulldogs. Barton Elliott chipped in 11 points and 5 rebounds. Will Howard and Bridges Simmons each scored 9 as UMS Wright improved to 14-7 on the year, winning this one, as we said, 43-36. We go next to Birmingham and highlights of 3 big girls games, starting with 4th-ranked Hewitt-Trussville traveling across the Magic City to take on 2nd-ranked Vestavia Hills in a Class 7A Area 6 battle. Hewitt's Deanya Jones dominated offensively with 27 points and 4 blocks to lead the Huskies to a 49-47 win. Sarah Gordon scored 16 and Anna Towery added 15 points and 7 rebounds for the Rebels. Moving down I-65 now as we take you to Alabaster. We pick up defending Class 7A state champion Hoover's Lady Bucks and Thompson's Lady Warriors in a Class 7A Area 5 contest. Anaya Hubbard scored 17 points and Layla Etchison had 11 as the Bucks topped Thompson big time 68-30. And heading back north to Jefferson County, we're going to check in now on McAdory and Northridge in a Class 6A girls game at McCalla. Nia Bibbs led the Yellow Jackets with 14 points, while Camaria Hoyt and Alicia Mosley each scored 11 points as McAdory won a close one 53-49 over Northridge of Tuscaloosa. Now we move to Northwest Alabama. We head to Killen, where Winfield, led by the AHSAA's current leading scorer Jabori McGee, takes on a strong Brooks High School squad. McGee started the game with a 3-pointer for Winfield, but recent North-South football all-star Kyler Merks matches with a 3-pointer of his own for the Lions. Late in the first quarter, the game tied 12-12. Pirates forward Logan Feltman breaks the tie with a tray and would finish with 28 points. McGee also had 25, but it wouldn't be enough as Merks canned 26, and Newt Wood had 16 as the Lions defeated Winfield 68-65. And we close this week's highlights with a spectacular finish at Huntsville High, where the Crimson Panthers hosted arch rival Grissom in a game played before a packed gym of more than 2,000 fans. Huntsville, coached by Christian Schweers, trailed from the Stars. The Tigers of Coach Jack Doss led by 10 at the half. Still trailing heading into the fourth quarter, the Panthers forced 6 turnovers and limited Grissom to just 2 points over the final 2 minutes. Jamari Arnold clinched the win with a 3-point goal with a few seconds left, set up by an assist from J.D. Gossett, and Huntsville won 52-51. Arnold finished with 20 points. Gossett, a freshman, grabbed 9 rebounds and had 4 assists. As Arnold's shot goes through the hoop, the excited student body storm to celebrate the 1-point win as Huntsville wins over Grissom 52-51. Look at that scene right there. The fans rushing the floor. Big time high school basketball in the city of Huntsville. Great game up there at Huntsville High School. That's going to close out this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. We'll see you back here next week.